Go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Lance Patterson, as you well know. So listen, today I want to talk to you guys about health and well-being. And working at a hospital, you guys totally understand that, right? But in health and well-being, it's not just about, physical, it's about mental as well. So I'd like to talk to you about obesity in the United States, which we all see here because we work in nutritional services, right? But the Center of Disease and Prevention and Control states that obesity affects about 93.3 million American adults, which is 40% of the country in America. But what that does is, it drains the money. And you guys have seen people that have dealt with it. You've seen families that have dealt with it. We live it firsthand with nutritional services. CDC also says that Hispanics have the highest percentage of obesity among Americans at 47%, followed by African Americans at 46.8, Caucasians at 37.9, and Asians at 12.7. Okay? So that's kind of the makeup of obesity. Now, the prevalence of obesity in young adults from 20 to 39 is 35.7%. From 40 to 59 years old is 42.8%. And for 60 and up, they kind of get a little bit leaner, so it's 41%. All right? But the big thing is the cost, right? I don't know if you guys are aware. 40% of the nation, you can imagine how much it costs. The cost of obesity in the United States is $147 billion per year. That means that people that are obese spend $1,429 on average a year more in healthcare than people with normal weight. Okay? The next thing I would like to talk about is HIV in the United States. Now, this is something that I lived in the 90s here at the hospital. I've been here a long time. Let's not talk about that. But HIV in the 90s, George, you'll remember, nobody knew what it was. They quarantined the rooms. When we were feeding the rooms, they straight up quarantined the rooms because they didn't understand the disease at all. So we are actually making roadways into that. And even though we've seen an improvement, places like Africa and stuff like that, obviously decimated, right? So HIV.gov states that 1.1 million people in the United States are living with HIV today. It's a lot. But again, it's taking down for us, you're talking about millions and millions of people worldwide. But the problem is that 1 out of 7 of them don't know they have it. So you can imagine, that is the biggest issue because they're going to be passing it on to their loved ones and so on and so forth, right? So that's a huge, huge issue. The makeup of HIV is gay and bisexual men who have sex with other men are the greatest risk to be infected by the virus. Okay? The southern region of the U.S. accounts for more than half of the HIV cases, even through the population is 40%.
Check with the kitchen if you can.
So, healthcare for all. So that's about. If you think about that, sorry, I apologize. If you think about that, the southern states have less population, but more HIV, and we see that. Right? So the last thing I want to talk to you about is healthcare for all, or healthcare in general, because the countries that have better healthcare have a better health and well-being, right? That's a fact. So healthsystemtracker.org says that the U.S. lags behind similarly wealthy countries in mortality rate, premature death, amenable to healthcare and disease burden, and the U.S. is not improving. So which it means that the gap it's going this way, right? So it's one of the reasons that the Democrats and Republicans were fighting over healthcare and stuff like that, because if you don't deal with it, it will drown your society and become a burden on you, and you're not going to have good health and well-being as a society, right? But Reuters says that the cost of healthcare rose 5.3% in 2018, and for 10 years it's planning on keep going up. That's what we're living, because they're trying to cut us. You know what I mean? We're trying to look at how to get money out of the healthcare system, right? So, guess how much the U.S. spends on healthcare? $3.5 trillion a year. It's almost tripled in most countries, okay? And yet we don't have anywhere remotely close to the best healthcare in the world. So, and we work in the healthcare business, right? So you can understand how important these things are for health and well-being. We see it, we live it, both with our families and here at the hospital, right? So again, I hope today that I shared some numbers with you that kind of shed some light on some of the stuff that you guys live every single day. And again, I apologize. I've been sick. Someone in this room got me a sore throat. So I appreciate you guys for coming. Thank you very much.